Hi guys, welcome to another video, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Seahawks announce hirings of two new offensive coaches. The Seattle Seahawks made a pair of reported coaching hires official Tuesday. The Seahawks announced the hirings of Rick Dennison as a run game coordinator and a senior offensive advisor, and Justin Outen as a run game specialist and assistant offensive line coach. Is there any chance Lockett remains on Seattle Seahawks in 2025? Dennison and Outen join an offensive staff that's starting to round out under new coordinator Clint Kubiak. Seattle has also brought in quarterbacks coach Andrew Janocko, offensive line coach John Benton and offensive assistant Michael Byrne since Kubiak's hiring on January 26. Dennison comes to Seattle after spending last season as a senior offensive assistant under Kubiak with the New Orleans Saints. He has deep connections to Kubiak and has previously coached with Seahawks head coach Mike Macdonald. Dennison, who played linebacker in the NFL for 9 seasons, began his coaching career as an offensive assistant with the Denver Broncos in 1995, working alongside Kubiak's dad, Gary Kubiak, who was Denver's offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. The pair worked together on the Broncos' offensive staff through 2005 and linked up again from 2010 to 13 with Dennison serving as the offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans under then-head coach Gary Kubiak. They then went to Baltimore in 2014, which was Macdonald's first year on the Ravens staff, spent 2 more years in Denver from 2015 to 16 and 2 years with the Minnesota Vikings in 2019 to 20. Clint Kubiak worked alongside Dennison with the Broncos in 2016 and with the Vikings from 2019 to 20. Outen spent the past 2 seasons with the Tennessee Titans, serving as running backs coach and run game coordinator in 2023 and tight ends coach last season. He was the offensive coordinator and coached on the same staff as Clint Kubiak with the Broncos in 2022. Outen, a former center at Syracuse University, has also made stops with the Atlanta Falcons and Green Bay Packers since joining the NFL coaching ranks in 2016. 5 Seahawks offseason dates you should remember. Have you ever thought about how many Sundays there are until you can watch an NFL game live again? Well-intentioned tip, save yourself the math, it's still far too long away anyway. The bad news is that the NFL only plays properly for 6 months, from September to mid-February at the latest. But there is also good news, the season in the best football league in the world has plenty to do even in the off-season. You have to mark the following 5 extremely important dates for the Seahawks in your calendar. For the stars of the future, it's a great opportunity to present themselves to the NFL teams. For fans, it's more of an event with the vibe of the Underwear Olympics. At the NFL Scouting Combine, the best young college players come together at the Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis at the end of February to present their skills to the scouts, coaches, and managers of the 32 teams. Their goal, to make such a good impression on the decision-makers that they select them in the NFL Draft at the end of April. The earlier in the draft, the more lucrative the contract. The former college players are put through their paces in a series of workouts, interviews, tests, and medical checks. They have to run fast, lift weights, run around cones, throw and catch balls, and answer some wild questions. Would you rather be a cat or a dog? What color is chocolate? Are you afraid of clowns? You may remember that moment from 2019 when a certain DK Metcalf walked into the Seahawks meeting topless to show off his muscle machine body. Seattle's then head coach Pete Carroll didn't want to leave it at that and also took a bareback approach. Legendary, and that's exactly why you shouldn't miss the combine. People who use the Gregorian calendar say Happy New Year. On January 1st, football players repeat this greeting a few weeks later. In the NFL, the new league year begins in mid-March and the transfer window also opens on this day. From this date, professionals without a contract can sign with a new team. Contract negotiations can begin 2 days beforehand, but transfers can only be officially confirmed on March 12 at 10 p.m. German time. The Seahawks have 16 players without contracts as of the deadline, unless an extension is reached by then. Tight end Pharaoh Brown, cornerback Trey Brown, cornerback Artie Burns, offensive tackle Stone Forsyth, linebacker Travis Gibson, defensive tackle Jonathan Hankins, linebacker Ernest Jones IV, defensive tackle Jarran Reed, offensive guard Laken Tomlinson, safety Quan Wallace, wide receiver Jaylon Darden, cornerback Josh Jobe, linebacker Joshua Onujiogu, linebacker Josh Ross, tight end Brady Russell and wide receiver Cody White. One of the top priorities for the Seahawks is the extension of defensive anchor Ernest Jones IV. The linebacker came to Seattle via trade in the middle of the 2024 season and played a major role in the defense turning around in the second half of the season. Head coach Mike Macdonald raves about Jones' game. The defender was confident at the end of the season that a contract would be reached so that he could stay. "We love him," said Macdonald. "He's a great player and he has a composure that I respect. He would do well on a lot of teams, but I think he's a good fit for us. We love him and I think he loves it here too." With the 18th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select. The future begins at the end of April in Green Bay, Wisconsin, at the historic site around the Packers' Lambeau Field. As of today, Seattle is entering the race for the greatest young talents with the 18th pick. Who the Seahawks will select with their first-round pick and how many options they will have in total over the 3 days in Green Bay have not yet been determined. On the one hand, it depends on whether manager John Schneider makes any trades with the picks currently available. The Seahawks traded a 4th and a 5th-round pick for Ernest Jones IV and Leonard Williams, among others, and received a 6th-round pick for Darrell Taylor. On the other hand, it has not yet been determined how many additional compensation picks Seattle will receive for high-profile departures. Did you know? After the draft, it usually only takes about 2 weeks before the NFL announces the schedule for the new season. And then the preparations almost begin. Teams that have not replaced their head coach after the season are allowed to begin their off-season training program as early as April. The workouts are usually still voluntary at this point. The players come together a few more times before the mandatory training camp in July to complete team building and conditioning sessions. For the newly drafted players, a 3-day rookie minicamp will take place on the weekend at the beginning of May, where the coaches will be able to instruct their newly drafted players and other tryout candidates on the field for the first time and get them used to the NFL pace. For the experienced professionals, things only get serious in mid to late July. Training camp begins. Most NFL teams start their intensive training camp around July 23rd. In recent years, the Seahawks have always held theirs in front of hundreds of fans at the training ground, the Virginia Mason Athletic Center. On September 12, 1976, the Seahawks started their first ever NFL season. 50 years later, probably on Sunday, September 7, 2025, Seattle's golden anniversary season will begin. Head coach Mike Macdonald's team is only out of the running for the kickoff game against the Super Bowl champion, the Philadelphia Eagles, as the two rivals are not meeting this year. A quick look back, in its debut season, the team from the northwest of the USA only managed 2 wins. Half a century later, the Seahawks' ambitions are different after they narrowly missed the playoffs in 2024, the first season under a new head coach. The newly hired offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak is expected to give the attack, especially the running game, new momentum. The regular season with 17 games and a rest week per team ends on January 4, 2026. The playoffs, and thus the knockout phase of the NFL season, start with the wild card round of 16. 1 week later, the divisional round, quarterfinals, takes place, before the 2 Super Bowl participants are played in the NFC and AFC Conference Championships, the semifinals. Super Bowl 60 will take place on February 8 at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California, the home of the Seahawks' big rival, the San Francisco 49ers. Top 3 free agent interior offensive linemen for Seahawks revamp. The Seattle Seahawks are looking to strengthen their offensive line this offseason, focusing on both the NFL draft and free agency. While improving their cap situation is a concern, identifying top available players is crucial. Pro Football Focus has highlighted 3 interior offensive linemen who may enhance the Seahawks lineup, particularly at guard and center. By the numbers, Trey Smith is ranked as the number 2 overall free agent, with potential earnings exceeding $20 million annually. Drew Dalman is the highest-rated center expected to enter free agency, ranked number 22 overall. Will Fries is ranked number 24 overall, but is coming off a serious injury. State of play: the Seahawks face challenges in their cap situation, limiting their spending ability in free agency. New offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak's system emphasizes the importance of a strong center. The team requires immediate upgrades at both guard positions. What's next as free agency approaches? The Seahawks will need to determine if they can make a competitive offer to any of these players, considering their financial constraints and roster needs. Bottom line: prioritizing offensive line upgrades is essential for the Seahawks' success. However, they must navigate a challenging cap situation and make strategic choices in free agency to enhance their chances next season. And you, fan? Do you think about Trey Smith's situation? Write on the comments.